Damn, I'm still fucking up. Peace. Your boy Killah B, the goddamn witch finder general. Got a witch, I'm burning their motherfucking asses up. Got a great video for you guys today. I'm going to be reviewing my first video I did when I was leaving the Torah Knights cult, and I was explaining some of the reasons why the other people should leave and what was actually being practiced and what the leader was actually dealing with while lying to his members. So this is going to be a great video. I'm going to review it. Some of the ideas and stuff in the video I might not believe anymore. Some of them I might know a lot more information. But I got Neggy Springfield on here today to help us with a lot of the stuff that I bring out. Also have another guest, which I'll introduce and stuff right after this. So stay tuned. After the song,
then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch.
No escaping, popular vacation, overrunning bank statement, lacing on pavement. Say man, cataclysm around the corner, woke up before performers, the time for the form, a rhyme technique form and farm, a swarm of pyrotechnic arms, flaming up the Dutch, the crush handed out and such, till my metal mouth clutch, I'm too sephardic for retarded, carry bags of harvest, brain be the largest, illin', react finger twiddling like some villains, foreign, with my haste stay, keep away all naysay, nutty, that's payday, yet rock of age like Pele, even with these, ask Pompeii, sling around you fools like Harambe, wormhole through Bombay, beyond where the top stay, hey, Oxray, hit harder than Parker Brothers, with my other crushes, names out board games, stutter, sound clearer, with more names, ferocious horse aim, cyclic ore, in the war, float tames, hey man, that's an English river, squeamish to the liver, Phoenix to the river, remix will deliver, active action doses, the way hope poses, ultimate posterizing motives, when I write the right voters, despite the right omens, and fake star moments, no opponent, they poison in the stomach, like some rodents, poise the fly, oceans brother, and rock weekends, like Usher, remove clutter, from Trump borders, and send in professionals on borders, on orders to bring back your freedom, thoughts busy, missing, like Liam Neeson, vanished without a trace, to outer inner space, fountain spouter with a race, then face the camp like Jace, who worship Vishnu, yo, rock cloak, robe, purple tube, window, heard a fool, for cool points, sorry that's annoying, still reaching out to Christ for the joint, over the pig, who points, hey, take your time, fuck that shit, yeah, fuck those fools who used to fool the waistlines of innocent, have them repent and bow low, how about those, taste sediment like 8 rows, hate clothes, and rockin' with fervor, time to take the burden from moving curses, sons was Herschel, better take back their hurdles, find myself, rolls up like turtles, folks step off like girls, gear cats found, rip off gerbils, diapers, verses from winning purses, thirstness, one of language, using human language as a bridge to Cambridge, then invent new payment like Vatican strangers, into the door, strangers poof, evacuate time, cry out, dormant move, or man shoot, syndicate late night, who man shoot, alright?
It fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the water because it was made bitter.
All right. It's Killah B, the goddamn witch finder general, back in the house again, back at your ass to fuck these niggas up. That's what I do. Got some awesome people here with me today. We got Neggy Springfield. What up, Neggy? You here with us? Oh shit, I never added him to the damn thing. What up, Neggy?
Nothing much. I just had to come back in because something went wrong. I don't know how, but yeah, I'm in here now, so that's good. Shalom. We'll see how the video goes.
Yep. And we have Pinchas. Is that how you pronounce your name, bro?
I think it's Pinhas.
Pinhas. Mostly. All right. So we got this brother on here with us. It's his first time on here. He's been helping beating up on the Colts and shit too. Kana and all this foolishness.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, now I know where I saw him. Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Shalom.
Yeah, so I'm definitely glad you're here, Nagy, because what I'm going to be reviewing today is my first video I did when I left Torah 90s.
Oh, goody. I want to see that.
Yep. Revealing a lot of the things that Judah taught, revealing especially his jewelry that was around his neck that not too many people paid any attention to. For a person that says he observes Torah and teaches others not to deal with the occult knowledge or what he would call Freemasonry, or what he would call, the fuckity fuck Luciferian fucking booty bandit, whatever the fuck he would call this shit, right? So I want to go over the video because I know there's a lot of stuff that might not have been on point in that video because I was just learning. What I was getting through on the video was that what he was teaching came from other schools of thought or other ideologies and stuff that he spoke against. And he was using these things on us. Who knows what else he was doing, fucking trying to cast spells or whatever the fuck on it, right? Because like I said, when I left, that shit was like something lifted up off of my ass and shit. Like I started to see everything fucking clear and all this crazy shit. But
and it's crazy you mentioned that because I felt sort of the same thing because I noticed it at different times. The veil was lifted, but I stayed. I finally had enough and I had to leave. So
yeah. Like I literally felt that shit like the next day. It was just like something like just lifted up off of my ass and shit. For the good. Lifted off my ass for the good. So we can get right up in here. We can get on these niggas. I might just start. You know what? I'm gonna start right from the beginning of this motherfucker. That shit, right? We'll get right into this video. This video, Chris Harris censored me a little bit on this video.
And where these symbols come from.
He wasn't fully 1,000% out of Torah nights, but he saw Judah's shit that he was doing. And when I gave him the information, he was like, holy shit. Well, goddamn. He was like, well, that's it right there. But he didn't want me to really put him on blast. So I snuck some shit in there and shit. Like, he was like, don't put his picture on there and shit. But I sort of put his picture on. But yeah, let's get right into this thing. Let's get right into it. Let me share my screen here. This is definitely a screen sharing video. Let's close this. Facebook, StreamYard. Oh, this brother dropped out. You come back in. I'll put the link in the chat for you. Come back in. You can give your 2 cents on this stuff also. Here's the chat, bro, if you want to come. Here's the link for the chat. I mean, to get on here. Whatever you call it.
Yeah, the StreamYard.
Yeah. So, I found a good one today, yo. I got a good screenshot, but I'll use it for another video. I got Judah live streaming today, and this kid is playing with a witch toy.
Oh wait, what? A witch toy?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
That shit took a fucking dude. All I have to do is just turn this motherfucker on for like 3 to 5 minutes, and it's always some fuckery. Like you always see that shit. Hey, what's up, Pete? Well, you ain't late. I'm just getting started. You always on time, Pete. You always on time, no matter what. So let me get in this motherfucker here. I was like, well, goddamn. I was like, this motherfucker be making that shit easy. He just makes it like way too easy. All right, here we go. It says your device is not connected. Penthouse. All right, here we go.
And what these symbols are about. The one thing which we read in the Holy Witchcraft, and we are live. All right, peace, everybody. Once again, I'm back. I got a brother that, believe it or not, we was enemies before we agreed that we agree on or against more things than we disagree with. So he's going to be presenting to you all the occultism found in the Israelite camps. And it's called the occultism found in the Israelite camps. And mainly they do it because they're ignorant of it. They don't understand where these symbols come from and what these symbols are about. The one thing which we read in the Holy Mikra, which we learned earlier today, the Most High said, "Are my words not like fire?" In other words, it's the word of the Most High that purifies us. It's the law that makes us separate and clean and holy, not the occult symbolism. Israel was not allowed to deal with symbolism, and that was one of the many things that got them in trouble. So with that being said, I'm going to give y'all my man, Killah B. Killah B, you can have it. Take it away. It's all yours.
Shalom. This is Killah B, God my spot here. Yeah, thanks Chris for having me on. Yeah, like I said, yeah, we used to go at it and stuff, you know, and we saw how stupid everything was. We straightened things out. Now we're a productive team now. So yeah, so this little presentation here is going to be about cults and symbolism and witchcraft within like the Israelite camps and organizations. Yeah, so let's start. I got a lot of slides here and stuff. I'm going to try to get through them as quick as I can. I don't want to keep everybody too long. So first off, I want to start with the scripture, Isaiah 5:20. It says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight." With that, let's get started. Cult Leader 101. This is a very important thing here. I got a link here. It was from a website. It's pretty on point. It's pretty on point as far as the things that goes on with leadership within these organizations in the Israelite camps. And if you sit back and pay attention to what goes on, because it's a technique, it's a reason why a lot of people don't see a lot of the folly and the lies, the slander, and all the stuff that goes on at first, because it's basically witchcraft that these leaders are putting on. It's mind control, witchcraft, hypnotism. It goes on a lot more often than you think. You know, you come in these camps, when you first meet like a group, especially some of these young brothers and stuff, just coming in the truth, they find like a school and stuff to start going to. And you get there, you find out how everybody seems to love you. You know what I mean? Everybody's encouraging you. You get a good feeling, you know what I mean, around congregating around brothers and sisters in these groups. But as you go on, you start to see things change, especially when you start to question certain things that goes on. It could be just a simple thing as this one thing in their doctrine, and everything could just go left on you. So yeah, let's get started on that. See here, this is from a site called Off Black Magazine. It's an article that they put up. It says the Cult Leader Training Manual. Words by Dr. Jack Andrew Lantern. It says, first things first.
This is very powerful. I don't know if you've seen this before, Negi, but this motherfucker breaks that shit down to a T.
Oh, I've seen this before. I watched your videos before we were cool, so I do know some of this.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, just full transparency.
Sex, or sex that you're after. Perhaps you're an antichrist, but currently lack the charm or brains to kickstart your following and bring about the end of days. Whatever the case, this article should help you in gaining and maintaining that power over your flock. First, you got to manipulate to accumulate. Now, this manual isn't for people to learn to watch out. You can't look at it like that. Basically, this is a article on how to start your own cult. And as I go through these different stages of it, you're going to start to notice things within your own groups that you're in. So let's start get started. Says you got to manipulate to accumulate. Good cult leaders need an overwhelming sense of self combined with a desire for blind, unquestioned obedience.
Are you still playing it or what? Can you hear me? Oh shoot, it's just me now. Oh, it's the Nagy Springfield show. Can you guys hear me? Okay, now it's not the Nagy Springfield show. Good.
Installed or something.
Francis, or open.
You guys can watch this part on your own time. The name of the video is in the description. It's Witchcraft Youth by Hebrew Israelite Cult Leaders. I want to get to the actual slides, so I can have Negi here actually break down some of this stuff that I've gone off, stuff that he could elaborate on, and stuff like that.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Yep. So the first one I know you're gonna like. You're gonna like this. You're gonna like it.
They kept the law and they're just super duper Israelites. Like you see as a we have or the Caribbean. So this guy was a slave under another samurai king or noble. You find out and stuff. His owner and stuff was a homosexual. All types of crazy stuff was going on. And then you'll find out also when you take a look what you get here. What was sex like in feudal Japan? Samurais often got with 12-year-old boys during official apprenticeships. Aristocratic men can have multiple wives and concubines, while the female converts were stuck with one husband. In feudal Japan, intimate life was influenced by social standings. It was a way of life for them. So when you go to look at it, is this Torah? No. This is another thing. You just look that up on your own.
Yeah, what I'm talking about here was Judah's idea of the Japanese and the samurais being in the whole Torah Knights was basically based off of the samurai. The whole idea of the name and what he was trying to do. You know what about I cut you with my samurai sword. If you go on Facebook, YouTube, there's countless Hebrew Israelites that have samurais as their avatars, right? And that all comes from Judah. And as we see here, who the samurais, or not who, but what the samurais were actually into, and where they would play with young boys. Young boy wants to be a samurai. The samurai takes him in and he makes him his bitch. And while he's having sex with this young boy, he learns all the skills of being a samurai. And then when he grows up, he becomes that samurai, he grabs himself a boy. But Judah seems to leave this out. For someone that knows so much about Japanese and samurai history, and just like Negi has made a video on his channel, was talking about the Shintos and stuff like that. This man has no clue, or he does, but he just wants to fool you. You know what I mean? And keep these certain things away from you. Now, how I just learned this, out of all those years I was in Torah Nights, and I never knew that about the Sam. It's unbelievable.
And you know, that's just very, very disturbing stuff. I almost, it's hard to listen to.
Yeah. Yep. And as much homosexual talk and this like perverted things that comes out of his mouth, you can see it play out. Like you can see where he gets this stuff from, where his mind really is.
Yeah, sometimes when I was in the group, I would hear him say things and I'd be really just, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because, you know, it just got to the point where it was ridiculous. Yep. And that's part of why I had to go. I just had to leave because Judah attracts a really negative vibe to him.
Right.
And he says crazy stuff.
There were plenty of times that like Negi was good for this shit. For like we'll be arguing with somebody or some shit, and we might be bullshitting a little bit, like, you know what I mean, just to get the upper hand on the situation. And here come Negi and shit, and just tell the truth and fuck the whole shit up.
Oh yeah, my bad, but you know,
it wasn't your bad. That like you was being real, you was being honest and sincere. So
yeah.
Thing. So it's showing you how the person that, in the scriptures say this too, the one that will be looked at the lowest will come to head. The one that was looked at the lowest. This is how you don't, they say, you don't, if you're in the presence of a ruler, don't wish to be sitting up under him. Don't wish to sit and eat at his table. You go sit at the other table and shit, where all the lowly motherfuckers at. Because it's better to sit there and for the ruler to say, hey, come eat with me. Then for you,
Oh yeah. And then there's also the idea of if you're sitting next to the ruler, what if someone tries to assassinate him, and you end up catching that bullet?
Yep, or you might even
So,
be
yeah.
to blame.
Just things can go wrong. But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yep. Like people get around, people want to be all in their face and stuff. Just stay in the background, chill, be you, play the back, and then later your ass usually be the one that's being exalted. Like people that hang around the yes men, they got a whole bunch of yes people around them.
You know Judah now has those, and none of those guys on Judah's team now are even interested in learning the higher wisdom he used to teach.
No.
The quote unquote higher wisdom in quotes. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right. No, they don't. Not at all. They just want to fight, bicker, and talk shit and make themselves feel good.
They're there for everything else. They're there for the Maury Popovich Hebrew Israelite show.
Right. Exactly. That's all they're there for. And he entertains them every day. Listen, let's go.
It's about the samurai. Okay, let's move on. Another thing, you'll start to find out certain things. So, like I said, you have certain types of people in the group. This is one thing
I know what's coming. I know what's coming.
Group that
can you pause it real quick? You know what's funny about that? That picture got me in some shit, but I don't regret anything. But the funny thing is, I found that with Google. I didn't know anything about it. I just thought it looked cool. So when you pulled up that thing about the Order of the Cubic Stone and the Golden Dawn, I knew about the Golden Dawn, but not the Cubic Stone thing. So that took me by surprise.
Yeah.
So I was confused because that was such a coincidence. But yeah, go on.
That was heavy as fuck. Because when I saw it, I asked Judah about it. And Judah just blew it off.
Yeah, like, because those are Golden Dawn tools. Like, for example, when they do initiations, they set up altars like that inside their temples. So it's really funny. I really didn't put any thought into it. I know that sounds funny, but I really didn't.
Because I saw it, I'm like, fuck this shit. And then I Googled the picture. And that's what it brought me. It brought me to that. It brought me to the Order of the Cubic Stone. That's where I got that shit from. Hold on.
These are magic tools for rituals and stuff in magic. You can research this stuff and you can come out like this image here. It's out of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And also will link this group here. The Order of the Cubic Stone, which is a group part of the Golden Dawn. So a lot of things you'll learn and stuff. They'll tell you things about all types of esoteric thought, but they'll tell you that it's not wicked. It's a part of this certain culture. So since most of us here are Israelites and stuff, some of us are with Kemet. So stuff in the site you all will be able to relate to. So for example, this cube thing, they'll tell you that, it's in the Torah. This is what we represent. This is all about us. And like I said before, a lot of times it's not the money that they need from you. It's your soul. It's your soul and your time. Time is money. If you look at it that way.
And that's another thing right there too.
Then you start to research some of these things. But they'll put certain things in your head.
He will stress, I don't want your money. I don't want your money. It's not always money that they're after. If you look in the video, when I was talking about how to start a cult, it said, what do you want? Do you want money? Do you want sex? Do you want fame? It's what you want. Know what I mean? Money can come in there. It can also be time. Some people are just narcissists and get off of using people and manipulating people. or people that have fucked up childhoods and shit. Just for example, right? Like a child that was molested. They say that child usually grows up to molest someone else. You know what I mean?
I just want to say something real quick. I told Judah something personal that happened to me in my life about how I was born premature and had a stroke at a really young age.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he's already used that against me.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it, and the next day, he had that shit in his motherfucking live stream.
Yeah, so you can see how that guy's morals change if he doesn't like you.
Yeah.
He doesn't follow the Torah if he doesn't like you.
And that's what he aims to do, because he wants to know everything about you, right? And then when shit goes down, he wants to take those things and then twist them, right? He'll twist them and then put it out there. Just like me, right? When I took my little break, I had some things I had to take care of, right? He says that I was in jail and that I beat up my sister and I was in prison.
Yeah, I remember that. And what's sad is at the time I kind of believed it, but now I know it's all BS.
Yep. Unbelievable.
I mean, the sad thing is, I remember when you were gone, I worried about you a lot because I really worried about your safety, and I didn't know if you were doing okay. And yeah, so that was a rough period.
Yep. And the only person knew what was going on was Ira. He's the only person I told. He's the only person I told.
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
I reached out to me because I saw when I came back, checked all my messages and all that shit. I was on the internet, but I was just like, yo, I left Hebrews like doing shit alone for a second, right? I gotta straighten out some shit. I gotta straighten, right? So, and I think it was Lamont that too had reached out and shit. And Judah, like I told Judah the situation and shit, like right, and he took that shit and just flipped that shit all which way around and twisted that motherfucker to fit his purpose of what he was trying to do. It's crazy. Let's move on.
It will cause you not to look up certain things. Some things are drastically evil. Don't deal with that, brother. It'll put spirits on you if you go to that site. You know what I mean? And you'll start to see inconsistencies. You start to see contradiction and a lot of things. Because they're human. They mess up. But being a cult leader, you have to learn to clean up your mess very fast. Usually it's one of your enforcers that do it, or you come up with some clever idea and stuff to get your job done. Let's move on. Here. I was saying, this group used to say, hey, the cube was all about us. Coming across it, you see little things like this. This is the Satanic Church. They gave a monument to this state, to this city, to celebrate the veterans of the United States. And this is what they brought. This cube. And as you go further into this, see, that's another sketch of the cube there. That's another one. That's the actual cube.
Hold on. We don't see it.
You guys can check this stuff out.
Hey, Killah, we can't see it.
What was that, bro?
We can't see
You
it.
can't see it?
Yeah, we can't see it.
All right.
We just see the black stone.
So we can't see it?
There it is. Okay, cool. Good. All right. I'm going back.
You see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, yeah. So, your stuff. Oh, shit. I should have done that. Okay. Get back to where I was here. Stone. Boom. You do your studying. Always look outside the box. Since we're talking about this. This is a clip here. Some of these comes from books. If any of you guys like to see the sources of this stuff, just hit me up and stuff. I'll be glad to show you where I got it from. They'll tell you about black, say, for example, Baphomet. This thing right here says second theory of Zion. While not necessarily contradicting the first, suggests to rather later point of origin. According to the second hypothesis, the priory was the secret inner hierarchy of the Templars. Those who knew the hidden order as distinct from the open order. It was this inner elite of Templars who supposedly knew the so-called magical and alchemical secrets on which Templar wealth was allegedly founded. Who knew the location of the secret mines and laboratories? For example, the mine of Blasphemous and the Tower of Alchemy and Rings. And who knew the truth about Baphomet? This Baphomet illusion, already referred to in the earlier passage, is itself worth further investigation. Some experts in history of the cult, and they did it sweetly among them, believe Baphomet was intended to represent the composite Eastern philosophical symbol of the absolute. The head of the goat, a black candle, is placed upright between the horns. There is a 5-pointed star in the middle of his forehead. The prominent female breasts are bright blue, and the wings which spring from the shoulder blades are golden brown, like the wings of eagles. The abdomen is green, the scaly reptile, and the organs are both sexes are present. Baphomet is a hermaphrodite. The legs are hairy and goat-like, the ends of the hooves. Each hand points and 2 continuous fingers at the crescent moon. The left hand points down to the black crescent, similar to polarity, and right points up to the white one. Baphomet sits on a cube, whose face may represent the 6 directions of time: space, north, south, east, and west, past and future. That's your length and your width, your length, your width, and your depth. The 12 right angles of the cube are possibly the 12 houses of the zodiac. Beneath Baphomet hooves lie a globe, probably the symbol of the world, like Rex. Baphomet is said to be the ruler of the earth. Here you have your black stone again, and here's your image of Baphomet here. This is Baphomet right here. If you guys look, I know you guys seen a lot of images of Baphomet, but if you really look at the image, he is always sitting on a cube. You see this right here. Let's move around. Also, you have this shield of David, so-called shield of David.
Isn't that weird? I don't
Oh
really
yeah, that is super weird.
I never knew too much about the meanings of all this stuff, but I found that very odd. Like, you know what I mean? A person that talks about bad enough, that goddamn cube.
Oh yeah, of course.
And as you can see, like, I was young, I didn't know too much about esoteric stuff or like that way of thinking or even this stuff we even study. And most of the people that were into Torahnites and most of the black and Hispanics, well, the Hispanics do a little, but most of the blacks in America, they don't know anything about any of this shit.
I mean, that is one of the reasons why they get suckered in, because they don't know enough about it to identify certain things.
Right.
So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You got to have you got to have a desire to read about things so that you're not beguiled.
Yep. They're some of the easiest victims to get over on.
David, Star David, you got all different types of names on it. There is no archaeological evidence of the Shield of David anywhere in Israel prior to the ADs. There was one artifact that was found, and there's many archaeologists saying that it's a hoax, which we'll show later and stuff in this presentation. This image right here of the shield is actually in the Temple of Baal. Here's another image of the shield in the Temple of Baal. You see right here, you have the cube, the shape with the angles here. You have the cube, that's the corner right there.
The one in the middle.
And you notice here, this is a lily in the center.
Oh, when I heard lily, the first thing I thought was, oh crap. You know what people say? You know what people say? They say the lily, the snowflake, and something else. The lily, the pomegranate, and the snowflake. Oh shoot. Like legit. Oh shoot.
Yep. And I saw the lily in that motherfucker. I was like, "Whoa, goddamn!" I was like, "Well, goddamn."
I mean that pretty much is the most damning thing I've heard all night, and that's sad. I got to do a video on all kinds of things, but yeah, this is one of them.
Yeah, so like he getting the Star David out of the lily, which is talks about a lily. He got shit to do with the damn star or the seal. But you see it how he put it together. He didn't just come out of his head with that bullshit. He got that shit looking at that shit. Like, yeah, see, this is how I'm gonna fuck him up. This shit, I'm gonna mix this shit with the shield of David, and I'm gonna win. I'm gonna have all the people. We're flying the general around and shit. We're flying the general to find that shit.
Jeremiah 7, 9 and 10. You will steal, murder, commit adultery, swear falsely, make offerings to Baal, and go after other gods that you have not known, and then come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are safe, only to go on doing all these abominations. And this is what these leaders are doing to you, and you don't pay any attention to it. Sometimes you see it, and you don't see it at the same time. Here's some more images like I just showed you too, also in the Temple of Baal. You see here, I know that all you brothers and stuff, sisters, know this logo here. This is my logo. Currently working on a new one. This stuff don't affect me, so it's there for now, but not for long. I was taught within this group how to construct this. What you see here is a red triangle pointing up, and you have a blue triangle pointing down. The red triangle.
Can you pause that real quick? I want to point something out on that. You know what's funny about that Star of David, the way you drew it, is that it also alludes to the veil in the temple. You know, the veil in between the Holy of Holies and the holy place?
Okay.
Because the veil is red and blue as well, and what that alludes to is fire and water. When you bring those two elements together, you get steam, or you get vapor. So what happens is vapor is like thought. So the idea that you're supposed to get out of that is that, your vapors are like, when the high priest goes in with the incense, he's burning it continuously when he's in the Holy of Holies. And that's so his thoughts will remain pure, just like that incense. So there's a lot of symbolism, but that definitely does allude to the veil.
Damn. See, that's why I got you over here. Hey, Judah, we got Nagy over here.
Mm-hmm. I think I mentioned this to Judah once, and it just got shoved under the rug because he didn't want to give me any.
That made my night right there. That made my night. Go ahead, Nagy.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all. That's all I wanted to point out is I'm going to end up doing a video on the temple myself just to show that Judah doesn't teach it.
Oh, shit. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? We ain't bullshitting over here. Let's go.
All right. Well, I'm done for now.
A masculine energy, and also symbolizes with fire. The triangle pointing down symbolizes with water and the female aspect of it. and them together is basically like it's like a sexual union, a sexual ritual. In ritual magic, the hexagon is called the Seal of Solomon. It represents divine union, being composed of female, watery triangle, and male, fiery triangle. You see here, together. The traditional elemental triangles of earth, air, water, fire are derived from the seal. When the points of the hexagram are connected, the hexagon is formed. Kabbalistically, the hexagram represents the Sephiroth, Teferet, and perfection. King Solomon reintroduced the six-pointed star in the kingdom of Israel. So the talisman of Saturn became known as the Seal of Solomon. This seal is also known as for a symbol of Saturn, which is also synonymous with Satan. As you can see here, there's an interlocking triangle with a circle around it. I know some of you brothers might have been into Malachi York back in the day. I used to read a lot of his scrolls and stuff. And one thing I learned from him, the differences in the stars. He taught that the interlocking shields were used a lot for witchcraft and also the other flat shields also. But one of the important things here is this circle that's around it. The circle is a barrier. It's used in ritual magic, like summoning, invoking and evoking demons. And you would stand inside of this symbol in this circle. And what it would do, it will form a protection for you to keep the demons contained within the circle. So they can't find a way out and go about their business when you invoke them or invoke them. One is actually bringing the demon into manifestation, and the other one is bringing the demon into yourself to take your own body over. So a lot of this stuff goes on. Shout out to SOT, the brothers from Harlem and stuff, one of the original One West guys. They told you how one of the brothers found a wallet of one of the main leaders in the UPK group, and it was a symbol. It was a book with these occult hand signs and talismans symbols. So you guys can hit him up and get some of that information too. The six-pointed star engraved the talisman of Saturn, which is used in ritual magic. The bull's head enclosed is a six-pointed star and surrounded by letters composing the name Renfa, the planetary genus of Saturn, according to the alphabet of the Magi. The bull represents Molech worship and ultimately Satan worship. You can move this along. Hexagram equates to 666, what Jesus said is the sign of the beast, blah, blah, blah. All right, we can get on to that later. Here, you also got the Babylon, that pentagram, that cube. Like here, what you have, these lesser numbers, these are called the magic square. You add up these numbers in any direction, they will all come to the same sum. As with this, I guess they all add up to 111. And when you calculate the sides together, you come up with 666. The Israelites worshiped the star and foreign gods and were punished for it.
I think I was bugging a little bit on that. I don't think that's too accurate.
Israel adopted the six-pointed star in the wilderness due to the apostle. And the mark of Cain was worshipped by the Israelites in the wilderness at the star Rephaim, which represents the god Saturn, also called Chiun. Let's move along. Son of man, you have seen what the elders of the house of Israel do in the dark. Every man in the room of his idols, for they say, the Lord does not see us. A lot of you camp leaders and stuff, you're out there, you're doing rituals on brothers. You're putting hexes on brothers. You're putting summoning demons to go after some brothers that aren't as strong. You see that a lot. Whether it's hypnotism, however you come at astrology, they're studying astrology. They're asking brothers when their birthdays are and stuff, so they'll know their traits and stuff. And be able to easily control them and manipulate them.
Now, that's a heavy scripture right there. That's a heavy ass motherfucking scripture right there. Just telling on these niggas.
Oh yeah, and for sure that is something that you can use against a lot of these so-called Israelite camps, these cults.
Smooth on. So I went and saw in there every sort of creeping thing, abominable beasts, all in the idols of the house of all of the idols in the house of Israel. And Ezekiel timed out what these people were doing. They were bringing these false idols into the temple. You have here in Jeremiah 3:16, and it shall come to pass when ye be multiplied and increased in the land. In those days, says Yahweh, they shall say no more, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of Yahweh, neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done anymore. Here we go here with that 6-pointed hexagram, and you have the head of Baphomet inside, with the torch, flaming torch is in the center there. It is suggested in Wolfram von Eschenbach, 1170 to whatever that is, I guess, give or take 1220. Parzival, the story of the knight in the grail, that the lapis excellus might be a stone which fell from the crown of Lucifer during the battle with the angels.
You know anything about that, nigga?
I really have never heard of that. I'm just hearing it for the first time, I think. So no.
Said a stone was fell from
actually, wait a minute. Now that I think about it, maybe I have, but I haven't read it in a while, so. Because I really have put a lot of that, in the past, and I don't think about it all that much. I managed to pull the veil bit because I remembered actually saying that to Judah. So
yeah, the goddamn cube fell off of Lucifer.
Yeah. The funny thing is, you can look at that literally, and it sounds kind of silly, but it's just part. It might be one of the myths that people have put out there.
Yeah, right. Like I just compiled all this information. Like I was searching all this shit, and I was like, goddamn. I think this was taken from a video that was talking about Saturn. I think that's where this clip that image came from.
Elexilus is actually turbid is the foundation stone that was left inside the Holy of Holies during the second time.
Shit, maybe I knew what the fuck I was talking about. I don't know. Let's see what I was saying.
In the time of Aaron, when the ark didn't exist no more inside the Holy of Holies. And it is a symbol of higher degree, making first appearance of the royal archmatrony. It is, however, ultimately connected with the construction of Solomon's temple. In its legendary story, it hence of importance in the first 3 degrees. Care must be taken to distinguish the stone of foundation from other stones which play important parts in Masonic ritual, such as the cornerstone, the keystone, the capstone. These are treated under their proper headings. It must be kept in mind also that the stone of foundation in masonry is to be taken strictly in a mythical and allegorical sense. We can find out later and stuff, other people that look at things allegorically and not as historical record. According to Masonic legend, the stone of foundation was placed at one time within the foundation of the Temple of Solomon, and afterwards, during the building of the second temple, transported to the Holy of Holies. It was in the form of a perfect cube and had inscribed upon its upper face within a triangle an infallible name of God, Masonic tradition further has it that the stone of foundation on which the sacred name was mystically engraved was placed by Solomon with solemn rites in the sacred depository of Dan and Asher and Mount Moriah in the center of the holy place, where the ark was overshadowed by the Shekinah of God. Robert Emlyn writes that the cubic stone is a real ritual object, which allows the forces summoned by the Magi to be, which is the witch, the magician, to be set in motion behind the veil of ultimate reality. You will see a lot. There's a few groups.
Have you seen that before, Nagy?
Oh, that. What is that exactly?
That's some artifact. I think I show it. I've been looking for that source again and shit, right?
I've never seen that before, but yeah, that's
But the squares, you see how it's set up like Judas fucking cross that fold into.
Oh yeah. I see it. Yeah.
And the little squares are like diamond-shaped things. Somebody came up and said it's like a language, and this dude is a college kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of Masons and stuff that were on his blog and stuff like supporting him, or I think he was himself, right? A young kid, young college kid. He was like freshman, sophomore in college, and he developed this language based off of that. Like I studied it for like a week, and I was starting to get it and shit, but I was just like, yo, this is a little crazy. But as like people use emojis and stuff today, I could see this actually catching on and actually becoming like a language.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it's almost like shorthand. Now people write shorthand, or like I guess like in the courthouse they be typing and shit, but it's not like English. You know what I mean? And it's all short, like handwriting. That's sort of like what this is. Let me see what I said about it. Yeah, it's a Sumerian thing, the Holy Cross of Metatron.
Out here and talk about the cube of righteousness and about the folded unfolded cube, also aka the Holy Cross. These artifacts are from Babylon. I clipped off to say when the date from them were. I forgot right offhand. But you see here, people have been studying these geometric shapes and stuff for a very long time. Also by people that were dealing with Baal worship, other types of pagan deities. Like here, you see the geometric shape here also. We're going to get a lot more into geometric shapes later. This symbol looks familiar. It looks just like my logo, with the red pointing symbol, the red triangle pointing up, the blue triangle pointing down. This is actually what the old Ouija board from the 70s looked like. And this is Parker Brothers explaining it. It says Horus Eye, the pentagrams, Sun, Moon, and Saturn are depicted around it here, which represents Satan. Notice the hexagram has two colors, two triangles, which mean ritual sex. Saturn, Satan being the phallus, and the female Venus, queen of heaven, being the pentagram. And we're going to get into this pentagram already. It's going to be something that a lot of you brothers have never known. And you Christians and stuff, watch out for that. The Ouija board is used to talk with demons by Parker Brothers, best-selling game in the U.S. Here we have, I hope this takes place here. Please play. Okay. Let's go play. Yep, here we go. Check this out.
The Rothschild dynasty. Now, this next symbol is the foulest, most evil of all symbols in the occult world. Nothing that can even come close. It is known as the hexagram. It is the six-pointed sign of the circle sun. It is this symbol that must be used during high ceremonial magic or high ceremonial witchcraft when you are summoning up demons to this plane of existence.
The hexagram must be printed to call forth a demon, and it is very powerful tool to invoke Satan. In fact, the word hex, to put a hex on someone, derives from the word hexagram. So to show you guys that, we're going to see some more on that there also. Let's see here. Close this up here.
Now that I see this, now I think this is kind of like a kooky source. It seems like they already got like a agenda.
The Rothschild dynasty.
Come on. Close up. Still with me?
Yeah, I'm still with you. Keep going. I got you. You were scared to do the teaching today, talking about you weren't going to be able to hold your own. I told you, you're doing fine. It's a
All right. Man, we gotta go. Let's see here. Okay, where I left off here. Sorry about that. Boom, here we go. Oh, okay. Sorry about this. Image got deleted by accident. Okay, what are we gonna get to here?
There we go.
Is that it? No, there's something else that got deleted. Sorry about that. I believe that was a image of the 33rd degree for masonry, with the eagle looking in both directions. It has a crown with the cross on top of it.
Judah.
Here we see here is an example here some of these symbols. This one actually is just from one of these Israelite leaders here. As you can see here, you have the pentagram with the circle around it. You have two of them here. And actually, I wish you guys to pay attention to this cross, this crown here. And if you look closely, it has the cross on top. You go on to find out that's the Greek cross. This is the Greek cross, symbol for the Greek letter Chi, the first letter of the word Christ. Greek cross is a cross where the lines intersect each other, exactly in the middle, so that all four arms are equal length. This is in contrast to the arms of the Latin cross. A Greek cross may also have 8 arms, where the extra arms are placed exactly between the forearms. In that case, the number 8 is a symbol of the rebirth of Christ. Keep in mind for that. Remember I told you about the symbol that was on that pendant, that was on the necklace. The Greek cross was not intended to represent the cross, of the crucifixion, but instead the 4 direction of earth, representing the spread of the gospel in the 4 Platonic elements, which is what the fire, air, water, and earth. The Greek cross was a popular floor plan to Eastern churches at one time. Keep that in mind. This style of cross dates to ancient Babylon, where it was the symbol of the sun god Shamash.
Can I say something real quick?
Once again, you see these.
Yeah, you'll also see churches in Ethiopia with that layout. So when you go to Ethiopia and you see their Orthodox Tewahedo churches, you'll also see it there. Just wanted to point that out.
It's also on Judah's New Jerusalem. I gotta do a video on that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that can be used as symbols, and there's a lot involved in both the good and the not so good, I guess.
One of them is an actual Ethiopian, like I guess piece of jewelry or whatever, or the design of it. right? And the other one shit also has that cross out I was just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And we can look into those other things. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you, like with the shields with the circle around, are those something? Could those be something that's given to a person that's like in witchcraft?
I don't think so. I think a person could buy them, but the fact that it has a circle around it could be seen in a negative light, especially because a circle would imply that it's being used as a magical symbol.
Right.
I mean, it's not always the case, but when I see that, it's hard for me not to think of that. So,
right.
As a person who used to study that stuff hardcore, it's the first thing that comes to mind. So,
and what I said earlier too about Malachi York, Malachi York had in one of his books was saying how the circle around it is like Israel in captivity.
actually, he would be lying in that case. The circle represents eternity. So when you put it in a circle, you're basically you're using it as a magical symbol for sure.
Oh shit! All right, what's these other things?
I mean, Malachi Z. York probably said that because he wanted to hide the real meaning and because, he's a clandestine Freemason.
Exactly.
Right here, you can't really see it, but I'm going to show you what it is. Unfollow symbol. The unfollow symbol or Devilstone symbol stands for the center of the earth. According to ancient Greek mythology, Zeus sent two eagles in opposite directions to fly around the earth. Now, remember, I just told you about that image that was missing with the 33rd degree. If you guys look up the 33rd degree Masonic symbol, you will see a eagle with two heads looking in both directions. And it has that same crown on top of his head. Where you would meet each other would be the center of the earth. Around the Mediterranean, there are many unfollows, stones, to mark this mythological point. The most famous one is Delphi. It was a powerful religious symbol. Unfollow syndrome refers to the misguided belief that a place of geopolitical power and currency is the most important place in the world. See that symbol there? Look at it. That's it right there. Let's move on.
Unfollows. You ever heard of that?
Oh yeah. I've heard of it. That's the snake consuming its tail. It represents
not the
in.
You mean Ouroboros? Unfollows. But I just showed this now. You see that thing? It's like a cone.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I was thinking of something else.
Yeah, it unfollows. Says the navel stone symbol stands for the center of the earth.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. You do point out one of those though.
Yeah, the Ouroboros. I didn't get that.
Yeah. That's right. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Now, again, see this symbol here. It's a ring. If you look real close at it, it's actually a snake eating itself. French masonry encompasses those regular Freemasons who interest in mysticism, and the occult led them to such organizations as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and the Ordo Template Orientis. Neither of these organizations was recognized by any regular Masonic body.
Can you pause? Can you pause it? Can you pause it real quick? I have done extensive research into the Ordo Templi Orientis, and they started off as a Masonic, like almost like college. When you go to college and then you go to graduate school, they're almost like a Freemasonic graduate school, or at one point were. So what that meant was after you did the 3 degrees in blue masonry, what you could do is you could go into other bodies that were technically part of Freemasonry while not being official Freemasonry. So there was looseness in who could join these different groups. Like one of the biggest is the York Rite. So these are all things that people have the option of joining, but they're not obligated to. So the OTO is now it's a Thelemic organization, and I used to really believe in that. They accepted Aleister Crowley's Book of the Law, and you can read about that if you want to, but it's some of the most evil stuff, and it can really suck you in, so I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, that's what that is.
Heard that. Go fucking with some shit y'all don't know y'all fucking with.
Yeah, you know, be very careful. You got to be as, you know, careful as you can be.
Symbol that you see, like this and stuff, you say, "Oh, this is Mason. This is damn Mason. That nigga's a Freemason." No, that's not the case. There are plenty of other esoteric organizations that are very wicked. They deal with a lot of things with demonology, Enochian magic, and you know what I mean, all types of sex magic and all types of other things. And they have no relation to Freemasonry. Some of them might be Freemasons, but they're in these other societies that are not part of the Masonic Lodge. Like you have the Golden Dawn, has no Masonic pretensions, but in fact, the founder of the OTO made such claims, open it to accusations of being clandestine or irregular Freemason. They seized the claim being or having any authority regarding Freemason. Currently, most Masonic Grand Lodge jurisdictions are unaware of or indifferent to the existence or the history of the OTO, which is the Ordo Templi Ordis. Here you go at it. Here it goes again. Show you guys here. There you go. All right.
I got the idea in my head to do.
I'm gonna get to the meat of this video. It's on the Ouroboros, which was that snake eating his tail. Text and stuff. They're sacrificing people.
This is something I want to talk about. Have you noticed that a lot of Hebrew Israelite groups, they will, that are so-called northern tribes, like they're thinking Mexicans or Puerto Ricans, like, you know what I mean, Ephraimites, Issachar, all this stuff, right? And they will rear Indian, Native American attire, like, you know what I mean? They would use dream catchers, like Alizar from Sakara.
Yeah, I've noticed that. And you know what's really terrible about that? They kind of treat all that stuff as if it's one culture rather than many cultures.
Right.
So they disrespect it in many ways because not all natives were alike. They didn't have the same culture. But yeah, I see where you're going with that.
And they let them do that. They used to have GMS videos back in the day on Public Access, like on TV, and those motherfuckers be sitting there wearing the big old Indian headdresses.
I mean, you know, on a very serious level, that is very crass, but it also looks stupid as hell. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. It looks stupid. It makes you look like if you do that, you know, you pretty much deserve to get checked.
It is doing a disservice to the real motherfuckers and shit. You know what I mean? You gotta deal with that. The motherfuckers in here talking about, I'm an Israelite and shit. Motherfuckers crazy.
The American Indians and stuff, same thing. You got the dream catcher. Let's check out what the dream catcher is. Is this something that Israelites, according to the Torah, should be using? The dream catcher meaning derives from the ancient story of a special spider mother, whose children, not spider mother, right? But
we already know
a virgin birth. The fleur de lis
that Hebrew Israelites use on a lot of their garments and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. That symbol is actually really sinister.
Let's move on. Witchcraft symbols. Everyone should know about. Within these beliefs, there are a variety of different witchcraft symbols. Here's your guide to some of the most interesting ones and meanings behind the symbol. This image and stuff got deleted by accident, which was the water symbol. Like on my logo, you had that blue symbol pointing down. This is what it was. Actually, this is the up part. The logo looked just like that, but pointing down. The symbol for water and the four council elements in alchemy. It is an upside down triangle. Water is used in rituals when a Wicca practitioner is drawing attention to feminine energy. It also be used to symbolize the east or breath, life in general. Represents feminine energy, the womb, water, the west, healing. Used in rituals for love, emotions, washing away negative energy. You have the up symbol, the fire, it's red. Fire is one of the four elements of alchemy and is a triangle. Fire is used in rituals when a Wicca practitioner is drawing attention to masculine energy and transformation. It is strong energy that initiates, purifies, destroys, and begins something new. Represents fire, masculine energy, purifying energy. Used in rituals for purifying new action. Here's another one. The soul cross, also known as the sun cross or wonton cross. It's a circle bisected by 4 lines. With a smaller circle in the center, it can represent the sun and the earth and the 4 seasons or 4 elements. Another form of the solar cross is the swastika. Represents the sun, earth, 4 elements, 4 seasons. You're going to see this real quick here. Used in the rituals for transformation, ending, beginning, in the solstice. This is one of the worksheets for one of these Israelite groups. As you can see here,
oh no, yeah, you can see that. You can see how I remember that. Yeah, you know, it's unfortunate. I'm actually gonna have to call it a night, but I'll see you. You see you next time.
All right, right on, Nate.
All right, yeah. Take care, man. Keep burning them up, man.
Yo, yes.
Shalom.
Yep. Yeah, you got it. They can speak for it, y'all. They can speak for it. Yeah, we can continue with this shit. I'll put the link in here if anybody want to come on. I know the other brother was on here. He didn't have his mic turned on, I guess, or something. But when I got him in here, so if you want to come back in, that was cool. I should have started this halfway in the video. This is where all the good shit started.
We're going to have a presentation soon by another brother that's going to break all that stuff down. He gets really deep in the knowledge of it. Here's that cross, and you have the winter, the spring, the summer, and the fall. See the cross there with the sun. Okay, we're going to move on. Over this here. I guess, remember that? The cube, the unfolded cube? That right there. The pentagram in Hebrew was called the Hekal. And we heard a lot of these brothers and stuff, you heard of that before. The Hekal is the inner temple. And derives from the Sumerian Igal, meaning temple. It refers specifically to the Holy of Holies. But it's saying here, the Holy of Holies, okay. And Solomon's temple. Hekal in Arabic refers to the human body. And it's thought that the pinnacle or 5-pointed star may be well connected with the planet Venus as both morning and evening star, which the ancient Hebrews and Canaanites worshiped as Astaroth and Astarte. She was otherwise known as the Sabbath bride and the bridal queen of heaven. Now, a lot of those in that group, we've run across that. And he was witnessed as the Shekinah or Holy Spirit. The Nazarenes. We have some groups out here that consider themselves the Nazarenes. We're going to learn a little bit today. I'm going to have Chris talk a little bit about it too, about a lot of the influences that the Essenes adopted. Ancient historians tell us that the Essenes were Pythagorean in their practices. These Pythagorean practices were well known and well documented and can tell us more about the Jewishness of the Nazarenes, the Jewishness of the Nazarene sect than Rabbinical Judaism can. Rabbinical Judaism has, however, partially preserved one fact of the Nazarene way. That one was called the way, which is useful in modern Nazarenes, the Kabbalah, or the secret doctrine of Israel. Texts such as the Zohar, Bahir, Sefer Yetzirah, and others, when stripped of their Pharisee periscope and corruptions, reveal many of the ancient tenets and Kabbalistic musing of the ancient followers of Yeshua. Many of the arcane truths found in these texts are utilized in the modern Nazarene mystery schools. Excuse me. When combined with the Kabbalistic teaching preserved by the Pythagoreans, the complete mystical system is revealed. The Kabbalah, although well understood by the early disciples of Yeshua, who some people call Yahweh Shai, including Paul, does not now have much of a place in Christian Chris, how you say that word? I hate saying that word.
Which way are you talking about?
Exegesis?
Exegesis, man. Exegesis.
The example of a surviving remnant of the 666 prophecy of Revelation. Part of the reason for this may be that an early association with the Jewish Christians who came to be despised and looked down upon by later Gentile culture, they didn't eat meat. They also didn't make sacrifice at the temple.
Hey, Killah, be real quick. We were saying exegesis. Brother Joel put down exit. Teach anything new. This is when you had.
My bad, y'all. So let this play. This is good.
Exegesis.
The example of a surviving remnant of the 666 prophecy of Revelation. We can move on. Part of the reason for this may be that an early association with the Jewish Christians who came to be despised and looked down upon by later Gentile converts to Pauline Christianity. To be of any great value, the Kabbalah must be seriously studied for many years in conjunction with other spiritual disciplines, practices, sacraments, long rejected by the Gentile church, who sought the easy way when the Gentile church, under the influence of Paul's writings, rejected the Nazarene way of spiritual discipline and study in favor in vicarious atonement and Roman ideas of salvation.
Hey, can I
also rejected all
right quick?
Yeah.
About the Nazarene exegesis. Okay, what many people don't understand is one of the things that the peace, a new era. One of the things that the Nazarenes used to do was they would grab a scripture from the Tanakh, which means Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketayim, which we learned earlier today. And they would grab a scripture and they would apply it to themselves. Like the story in the book of John when the Pharisee came to John, they asked, "What doctrine do you teach?" And he said up there and said, "I teach the doctrine of the one who sent me." And they said, "Well, who are you? Are you that prophet?" He said, "No, I'm the one in preaching in the wilderness." So he applied that scripture in Isaiah to himself. This is why it was called Nazarene exegesis. Now, also Jesus, he came in Luke, in the book of Luke. Luke chapter 4, he applies Isaiah chapter 61 to himself. This is what the Nazarenes did because they thought they were fulfilling prophecy by saying these things. And note, these are the only two places in the scriptures where the two progenitors of the Gospels are applying anything to themselves, where you see them reading and telling the people, I am the one crying in the wilderness, and Jesus says, I am the one that's here to heal the sick and help the blind. So they grab those two scriptures and they apply them to themselves. And this is what Nazarene exegesis is. And also they were scholars of the Kabbalah, because this is why you always saw Peter asking Jesus, or Yeshua, or Yahawashai, or whatever it is people want to call him, asking him these questions. And he would always say, I'll give you the secret keys to the kingdom. I'll teach you the keys to the kingdom. And he always spoke in parables, because Kabbalah means what? The secret things. And he taught these type of things which didn't sit well with the Pharisees, nor did they sit well with the Levites of that era, or in that during the first century. So this is the trouble that the New Testament believers run into, because you're telling them that their teachings were not popular amongst the Pharisees and the so-called Levites that were within the temple. They said, this is new doctrine. We've never heard this before. And according to their law, they weren't allowed to teach anything new. This is when you had, they were also avid believers in dying for their lead teacher. They figured suffering was accounted to them for righteousness. And these people in this sect, they were what you would call today a spiritual hippie. They had nothing to do with any Old Testament prophecy or anything else. They just took scriptures and applied it to themselves. Okay, so continue on, and I'll get into the Pythagoras for you guys when he gets done. Go ahead.
Also, when it says the easy way, Paul also was a Nazarene. Don't get it twisted. Paul was a Nazarene, but the beef with Paul was Paul was going to the Gentiles and making it easier on them. He was applying these ways, but he was saying, hey, you ain't got to do really all of that. Like, you know what I mean? You ain't got to do you don't have to be that strict with it. Because we're going to find out later how the Nazarenes, they didn't eat meat. They also didn't make sacrifice at the temple.
Hey, Killah, be real quick. We were saying exit Jesus. Brother Joel put down exit Jesus. All right, keep going, bro.
Yep. So when these people, like Chris was saying, with the way how they apply these things to themselves, they dealt with allegory and stuff. As you can see, they dealt with Kabbalah. So your brothers and stuff that say you don't deal with Kabbalah and you're calling yourself Nazarenes and stuff, you need to, you know what I'm saying, reconsider some stuff. Look into some things.
Hold on, Killah B. Hey, New Era, we see in the chat room that you have some problems with some of the things, some of the information that we're presenting. What's up?
Oh, first and foremost, I would like to appreciate you, brothers. And always, it's a pleasure to be on the platform with you, my brother, even though you have the most profound knowledge of the OT that I actually envy. I just wish you would take time to do a better critique of the New Testament, but that's not here nor there. And salute to the brother. He's doing a good job. But the only thing I would say to it is that that's not masonry. We got to define what masonry is. And a lot of people that are not in the understanding of masonry will tie everything, they just blanket everything with masonry. And masonry.
If I can say real quick, earlier I also said that how a lot of these things, brother, call masonry isn't actually masonry. There's a lot of things that people call masonry that isn't really tied with it. But Kabbalah is part of Masonry. Kabbalah is part of a foundation of Masonry. Masons themselves say that. But yeah, thanks for your comment. and stuff, brother. But yeah, we got some more information and stuff. You might think a little different.
You hear that, Pete? I got, and that's my boy and shit, dude. Shout out to New Era King, yo. Shout out to New Era King. He did a video on my channel on Freemasonry. I'm gonna get him back, yo, to speak about it again. That was a powerful ass video and shit. We got a lot of shit, like, but this like the audio was horrible. It was horrible. You couldn't even put it up. But yeah, like he was right. Like he was right. So he said, you know? Yeah, I got your ass though, dude. You came in late and shit. You came in late. I already said that shit. Trying to get me.
I have to end.
Fucking ball with there too. I was like, oh, thank you very much for your comment, brother. All right, let's move on. I got rid of that nigga.
I'm not saying like the Nazarenes or Masons or none of that stuff. This is information. There's a lot of different angles and stuff that these people were going at, as we're going to see later. Everybody is adopting things from each other. Let's keep going. The Essenes observe strict religious orders. They function as scribes and prophets, studying and preserving scripture. The books of their sect. Now, you see that the books of their sect. So, a lot of these other books that a lot of brothers are reading and stuff like that, they're not really part of anything of Israel. These are books and writings and stuff that these people have written themselves to use amongst themselves. Their work of healing involved ascribing properties to stones and roots for protection. And they were experts at foreseeing future events, like soothsayers. They worship in obedience to the law. There was daily instruction, except on Holy Sabbath. During instructions, they sat in order, one man reading, one elder explaining. We've seen that around our school. It's funny, too. A lot of these older camp leaders, so like back from the 80s and 90s, that era and stuff, they knew a lot of this. Because you could go to, say, like groups like GMS, you can see them actually acting these things out that you don't see in a lot of newer camps today. On the way how their groups are structured and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff was pretty much on point, especially the way that they thought and they dealt with certain situations. Was right out of these teachings. And they weren't really taught. Like, they were taught, but it wasn't taught as something that was in the book. Some of the stuff was, but some of the stuff wasn't. Let's move on. They were in disagreement over sacrificial systems in Jerusalem, either because of the priesthood or the calendar. They followed the solar calendar of Jubilees. So they didn't use a lunar calendar like the Pharisees and Sadducees. They only followed a solar calendar. They sent offerings to the temple, but no sacrifice. They made sacrifice amongst themselves, since their customs of purification were different. I just saw a video earlier of when the first church that James ran. It's actually still actually have it. The Jews been throwing trash down there and stuff like that, totally vandalizing it. But they made a comment that they had actually 2 altars in the synagogue. I gotta look more up on it, to find out the reason what those altars were for. Their purifications were strict. They washed in cold water for purity. And interesting, oil to them was a defilement, necessitating washing. As Chris made a comment to me the other day about the oil. Remember we were talking about that, Chris?
Yeah.
If you want to elaborate on that a little bit, we'll move on.
Okay, now the Essenes, many people always ask a question, like many of us brothers, we always ask y'all, well, where was Jesus anointed with oil? Now, the Essenes, I did a video on the Essenes and their practices and who they really were, this group of people in the Bible that you see teaching. The Essenes, they didn't believe in a number of things. They didn't believe in sacrificing. They did not believe in being anointed with oil. Here's the thing. They looked at oil as a defilement. Now they looked at this is why they didn't sleep with women. They didn't eat meat because the meat contained oils and things like that. This is why they would purge themselves of such things. Now, in the story, we see where Jesus is anointed, where the prostitute pours oil on him and perfume on him. Now, here's the reason why Judas freaked out, because he's become a member of the Nazarenes, and he's sitting up there saying, well, wait a minute, we're not supposed to do that. Remember, Jesus hung around a bunch of ignorant people that didn't know anything. Honestly, he did. It's just what this is why he was able to convince them certain things about himself. This is why we read also in Luke, the 24th chapter, they said we thought it was him who was going to redeem us. Then you turn around in the book of Acts, and I'll get right back to it. They asked him, when are you going to restore the kingdom back to us? And he said, it's not for you to know. But in Matthew 28th chapter or the 27th chapter, he said up there and said all authority had been given to him. So we got some conflicting a conflicting narrative here. The Nazarenes, including John, their faith in him began to waver. This is why John sent letters, or his disciples amongst Jesus, saying, are you the Messiah? Because he did not want to be anointed with oil. He did not want to take the throne. They looked at worldly gain as what? Defilement. This is why you see in John chapter 6, verse 15, why he didn't take the throne when they were coming to make him king. He didn't want it. He went back into the wilderness. This is why they told him that he said, my kingdom is not of this world. His kingdom was amongst the Essenes. See, everybody keep thinking he's talking about heaven. He is not talking about heaven or some place in the sky. He was talking about an alternate kingdom, because the Israelites, they allowed people, the Essenes, they allowed people to join them. They looked at oil as a defilement. They looked at being rich as a defilement. They looked at being a king as defilement. Because honestly, according to the narrative of the Bible, it does say Israel was never commanded essentially to have a king. Their God was
also, that's what you see in these Hebrew Israelite camps. That's one of the things that they get on these people, that, you know what I mean? They shouldn't be rich. They shouldn't be well off. Being at your lowest possible state as you can is the best thing to get into the kingdom. Because they'll hit you in the stitcher. Oh, it's harder for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle. It's harder for a camel to fit through the eye of the needle to get into heaven. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when you being fucked up, you ain't got no job, and you ain't looking and shit. You know what I mean? They feel that, but the Most High is blessing them because they got time to study these words of the Most High. So just be a sorry ass bum and ignore everybody, your family, everything around you. This you believe you were chosen 144,000.
to be their king. So they looked at those.
All y'all niggas that got kids and shit, y'all think y'all 144,000. Guess what? It's only 144,000 virgins, nigga.
Things as being worldly, because they believed that the Creator did not want them to be worldly, but be inwardly. The Essenes taught the way, which was the truth, and they walked in what they called the light, and they considered all.
Yup, and I ain't sending no money. Because I got a nigga on my PayPal and shit. You got my recording. What up, Chris? I'll put the link up in there.
The sons and daughters of Israel in the darkness. This is why they came into the wilderness. Came out of the wilderness.
I know your ass want to talk more than years up in here and shit, so I'll let you come on in here and add on. Shit. Chris Adams. He got his hat turned sideways. He got some shit. Let me see what he got to say. Damn, what you fucking doing? Shut up. Yeah. All right, Chris, we go to link.
into Israel. I hope that clears anything up. If you guys have any questions about that, you guys can go look at my Essene video I did. I covered a lot of that information. So, yep, they looked at oil, money, certain types of meats, kingship. They looked at all of that as being a defilement. Okay, go ahead, bro.
They also didn't believe in having sex. A lot of them were celibate. Just like you see.
Correct. That's another thing. They believed in sex as being celibate. This is why Jesus, Peter tells Jesus, we forsook all to follow you, even our wives. He clearly says this because they were teaching that sex is against the kingdom, and women wear oils and fragrances on them, and they looked at it as a defilement to their holy temple, which was their body. Like a bunch of damn fools, if you ask me. Just another animal. That's all it is.
We're gonna find out. Damn, what's that noise?
Go ahead.
We're gonna find out also and stuff. What they thought of women also. But we have this scripture here, this verse here. For we have found this man a plague, a creator of dissension among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarene.
Funny as shit. A while ago when he was talking, I was sitting here and shit, doing something, and then he said something. I was about to ask him a question and shit. Then I forgot that was the video. I'm like, Chris, what about? Then I caught myself and shit. That should be
Nazarenes. Acts 24.
Right after that. After I thought that was funny. I'm about to ask the nigga questions. Shit, like he was live with me.
5 brothers to look that out and see who they're talking about. Okay, let's move on. Kabbalah is an esoteric tradition possessed by Nazarene and other Jewish mystics. It pertains to mysteries of creation, redemption, and mystical exegesis. In the written word, the tree of life, mentioned in the Essene in Christian scriptures, is a Kabbalistic icon. Remember that with the tree of life, consisting of 10 spheroids and 22 pathways. This Etzchiam, or tree of life, represents a codified and living computer capable of containing, analyzing, and revealing all the hidden aspects of humanity's relationship with deity. It is of immense value to those who become deeply initiated into the Nazarite way. What is Kabbalah? From the Grand Lodge of British Columbia in the Yukon. Kabbalah and Freemasonry. Rooted in the ancient Egyptian mysteries, 3 different versions of basically the same teachings can be identified by 3 different spellings. Kabbalah, Kabbalah, Kabbalah. Kabbalah is essentially Jewish mysticism and esoteric school. Although the church fathers of the first century were demonstratively Kabbalists, mystical, and Gnostic. Now, it says the fathers of the Christian church. The first Christians were Nazarenes. Nazarenes started Christianity. Mystical and Gnostic elements within the church largely disappeared within the first 3 centuries, only to reappear as a Christian Kabbalah during Renaissance.
So all y'all Kunai heads and all that bullshit think y'all Nazarites, right? The Nazarites started Christianity.
A third, often hidden stream of mystical Western philosophy observed many Egyptian, Jewish, and Christian mystical elements and termed them the Kabbalah. So another thing right here that I've come across one of these leaders that are in possession of this. Brother want to deny it and stuff. We got some witnesses and stuff on it. It's called the 6th and 7th Book of Moses, the mystery of all mysteries, the citation of all spirits, the spirit of the burning bush, helmet of Moses and Aaron, healing of amulets, the wonderful, magical, and spiritual arts of Moses and Aaron, and of the old wise Hebrews taken from the Mosaic books of the Kabbalah and Talmud for the good of mankind. blah, 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 blah. This guy that prepared it. So I have other books, The Great Book of Magical Arts, Hindu Magic, East Indian Occultism, Famous Book of Death, and Hindu Spiritism, blah, blah, blah. This rare old mosaic book of the Talmud and Kabbalah. This rare...
Tiberius, when you see this is what I was talking about. I got the PDF and stuff. I gotta find it.
It's mind control, witchcraft, hypnotism. It goes on a lot more often than you think. You know, you come in these camps, when you first meet like a group, especially some of these young brothers and stuff, just coming in the truth, they find like a school and stuff to start going to. And you get there, you find out how everybody seems to love you. You know what I mean? Everybody's encouraging you. You get a good feeling, you know what I mean, congregating around brothers and sisters in these groups. But as you go on, you start to see things change, especially when you start to question certain things that goes on. It can be just a simple thing as this one thing in their doctrine, and everything can just go left on you. So, yeah, let's get started on that. See here, this is from a site called Off Black Magazine. It's an article that they put up. It says the Cult Leader Training Manual. Words by Dr. Jack Andrew Lantern. It says first things first. You got to decide what you want. All this stuff so they control you and trap your soul. Okay.
This is good shit, right?
Cause of death. Know what I mean? And disease. So keep that in mind. See here, we go back to the symbol I was telling you guys about. If you look at remember my logo, it had a 9 in the center. We're going to look at this Hebrew alphabet number system. If you look here, the symbol for 9, the meaning for 9 is new life, right? And we got that Ouroboros. Remember what that's about? You have this shield. And it says here, the Ak, life. So that number 9 in life has the same meaning. Look, the lower, feminine, arrow, matter, substance, interlacing of the triangle states the interdependence of spirit and matter. Also, Sat Chit Alanda, I don't know what that is. The good and beautiful, the true, wisdom, strength, beauty, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Like you brothers that was in that group, you're familiar with that type of talk. Situated within the 6 points, 7 stars. The 6-pointed star equals 7. Because you remember you got your 6 points in the center, makes your 7. The 7 principles of the universe. So these people that say that they come up with all this stuff on their own, like with some gift of God and stuff, as you can see here, this stuff has been around a long time, and it's nothing hidden. It's very well known stuff. You can find all this stuff with, quick Google searches and stuff. A lot of this stuff, like I said, it's a lot of mind control that's put on you, and you're persuaded not to look into certain things and to stay away from certain things. Not saying that somebody warns you or something, and you just go do it and find out on your own anyway. I'm not saying that, but yeah, you guys kind of know what I mean. Let's move on. Like I said here, that 9 symbolizing salvation, 9 life, new life. We got here again, Hebrew and Chaldean letters. Now you have your grammatical numbers here with the letters. See that Teth again? Also is the 9th letter, the life number, the alphabet, right? Boom. Significant of the name. Remember, we saw it said life also. What they have? The serpent. Serpent is also representing life. Remember what that Ouroboros meant also. Kabbalah, 4 elements of the universe. Here we have again these symbols pointing down water, pointing up fire. And look what we have here. You have the shield here.
That sucks. I could have.
You have the cubes with inside the Kabbalah tree, the tree of life.
But this is all the stuff I wanted to get a lot more shit. Damn, this motherfucker still ain't.
And you have your earthly kingdom, your lower self. You work your way up into the inner chambers, and you have your attributes, your earthly kingdom, your foundation, intuition, logic, love, mercy, judgment, knowledge, understanding, wisdom, intellect, heavenly kingdom when you reach the top, the Holy of Holies.
That sound familiar?
So you have this here again. We have this little diagram here. Solomon's Temple.
Yo, my told
as you can see here,
fuck what y'all talking about. This shit.
Malkuth, which is
my temple man was shit.
Which is this first spear at the bottom.
I had the ill ass temple man.
And that's called Malkuth. And if you can look here, Malkuth is the mouth.
Oh, shit.
Speech, revelation, feet is represented by the feet. And then as you go up, you know, you got your left leg, your right leg, and they also have different qualities also.
Yo,
your torso, your right arm, left arm, central brain.
I made that.
Saying your left brain, your right brain. So I remember some of you brothers know about your left and your right brain, the symbolism with that. Then you have your skull and the crown chakra. Also, it's the same thing as chakras. It's the same layout. As you can see here, they break it down in a pyramid. See, you have your sacrificial altar here, darkness and sin, your lower self, the ulam. You move your way up into Hakal, the stairway, light, ascension. You become the bride. You go through the veil, become a bride. And you have your crown of glory. Over here, you have some also things we're going to get into a little more too. The pyramid solar system, solar symbol from the docu about the rebuilding of the temple for Lucifer in Jerusalem. Let's move on. Here we got here the cube and the star. You see here, we have that 6-pointed star with that 7 point in the middle, but it's represented here on a triangle. And you have your cube all laid out. The cube and the star, by connecting the 10 dots, the tetrax east, 9 triangles are formed. 6 of these are involved with forming of the cube. The same triangles, when line are properly drawn between them, also reveal the 6-pointed star with a dot in the center. Only 7 dots are used in forming the cube and the star. Kabbalistically, the 3 unused corner dots represent the threefold invisible causal universe, while the 7 dot evolved in the cube in the star of the Elohim. Spirits of the 7 creative periods, Sabbath and 7th day is the central dot. And Chris is when we get into Pythagoreanism. Sorry, I think I had another slide that's not here. But if you could go over this real quick, this stuff for us. Let's just with that. Still there, Chris?
Yeah, I'm still here. What part of Pythagoreanism do you want me to go over?
Let's start from this clip here from this book where it's going through these different things like proceed to swallow in your house, open out your right hand easily to anyone.
All right.
Well, I can read this first real quick, and I guess you know about Pythagoreanism. The philosopher Killah, the historian, expresses admiration for the most sacred sect of Pythagoreans. It is possible that he was associated with the secret Neo-Pythagorean school of Alexandria. When you go into Alexandria at the time, white people was running Egypt. If it wasn't for the white man, we wouldn't have a lot of these books and a lot of these things that we have today. The white man, he made pretty much a pretty good library and stuff and kept it intact. So we owe them for that in Egypt. Some scholars suggest that he was initiated into the temple cult And it is significant that he gave the only original description of the therapeutic, a Jewish fraternity. I want everybody to get this word here. THERAPPEUTEATAE. Sorry. Look that up. Some pretty deep stuff we're talking about. It's a Jewish fraternity that lived on the shores of Lake Mareotis outside Alexandria. And these Philadelphia people, these weren't the Essenes. These are also part of the Essene group. In the 1st century AD, Cunningham argues that the term Philadelphia referred to a religious guild, and that Greek readers of Philo would have viewed the fraternity as a guild of collegia in the Alexandrian Roman sense. Provocatively, Cunningham then compares the guild of Philadelphia to the modern Freemasons. The Jewish guilds. Okay, Chris, if you can speak about the Pythagoreans a little bit.
All right, now we all know that Pythagoras lived between 590 BCE, and some scholars say he lived around 575 BCE. So this is an interesting parallel to some of the Essene teachings, not as much as the Zadokite teachings, but the Essene teachings, because the Essenes, they were ascetics and mystics. So we have to understand that. So I'm going to read something. The teachings of Pythagoras indicate that he was thoroughly conversant with the precepts of the Oriental and Occidental esotericism. He traveled among the Jews and was instructed by the rabbis concerning the secret traditions of Moses, the lawgiver of Israel. Later, the school of the Essenes was conducted chiefly for the purpose of interpreting Pythagorean symbols. Pythagoras was initiated into Egyptian, Babylonian, and the Chaldean mystery school system. Although it is believed by some that he was a disciple of Zoroaster, it is doubtful whether his instructor of that name was the god-man now revered by the Persians. While accounts of his travels differ, historians agree that he visited many countries and studied at the feet of many masters. Now, these are some things, the Pythagorean fundamentals that are taught. And I want to read this to you all because they align almost identically with some of the teachings of the Essenes. Now, notice I'm not seeing the Zadokites, but the Essenes. Watch. This is some of their things they live by. Declining from public ways, they walk in unfrequented paths. By this, it is to be understood that those who desire wisdom must seek it in solitude. Govern your tongue before all things, following the gods or God. The aphorism warns man that his words, instead of representing him, misrepresent him, and that when in doubt as to what he should say, he should always be silent. Point 3. The blowing wind, adore the sound. Pythagoras here reminds his disciples that the fiat God is heard in the voice of elements, and that all things in nature manifest through harmony, rhythm, order, or procedure, the attributes of deity. Assist a man in raising a burden, but do not assist him in laying it down. We see that Jesus, he also taught, walk with your brother, what? A mile. Let's see. The student is instructed to aid the diligent, but never to assist those who seek to evade their responsibilities, for it is a great sin to encourage insolence.
Actually, what Chris said a little while ago, that's exactly what he's reading. That's exactly what Siberius was talking about the other day. Shout out to Siberius.
Speak not about Pythagorean concerns without light. The world is herein born that it should not attempt to interpret the mysteries of God, and that the states of sciences without spiritual and intellectual illumination. Having departed from your house, turn not back, for the Furies will be your attendants. Pythagoras here warns his followers that any who begin to search for truth, and after having learned part of the mystery, become discouraged and attempt to return again to their former ways of vice and ignorance, will suffer exceedingly. For it is better to know nothing about divinity than to learn little and then stop without learning at all. Once again, these teachings parallel the teachings of Jesus very closely. Let's see. Nourish a, I don't want to say this word, but I'll just say it. We're mature here. Nourish a cock, but sacrifice it not, for it is sacred to the sun and moon. We know the Essenes did not practice sacrifices. They did not believe in it. They believed that all animals were sacred to the Creator. Two great lessons are concealed in this aphorism. The first is warning against the sacrifice of living things to the gods, because life is sacred and that man should not destroy it, even as an offering to the deity. The second warns man that the human body here is referred to as a cock is sacred to the sun and the moon, and should be guarded and preserved as man's most precious medium of expression. Pythagoras also warned his disciples against suicide. Okay, let's continue. Receive not a swallow into your house. This warns the seeker after truth not to allow drifting thoughts to come into his mind, nor shiftless persons to enter into his life. He must ever surround himself with rationality, inspired thinkers, and with conscientious workers.
No. Continue to hang out with you and Nav. And them.
Now we see Jesus says, go forth, tell everybody about the gospel. If they allow you in their house, receive them. If not, shake them off like the dust on their feet. We see him teaching these things that are very parallel to what he taught. Let's go, continue on. Offer not your right hand easily to anyone. This warns the disciple to keep his own counsel and not offer wisdom and knowledge to such that are incapable of appreciating them. The hand here represents truth. That's your right hand. Watch this, which raises those who have fallen because of ignorance. But as many of the unregenerate do not desire wisdom, they will cut off the hand that is extended in kindness to them. Time alone can affect the redemption of the ignorant masses. We also see many times where Jesus says, the sheep that go to the right hand will inherit the kingdom. Those that go to the left hand will inherit everlasting shame. We see him give that lesson. It's not saying it, but it parallels it very closely. Let's continue on. When rising from the bedclothes, roll them together and obliterate the impression of the body. Pythagoras directed his disciples who had awakened from the sleep of ignorance into walking into the waking state of intelligence to eliminate from their reconciliation of all memory of their former spiritual darkness. For a wise man in passing leaves no form behind him, which others less intelligent seeing shall use a mold for the casting of idols. So Pythagoras had many disciples, just as Jesus had many disciples. So what we're seeing here is an amalgamation of teachings and an understanding that all of these things paralleled. And Pythagoras existed before Jesus, and these teachings, as he said, he walked amongst the Essenes, and he learned from them also. So we see a lot of how can I sit up there and say it? Some of the same teachings paralleling each other with Pythagoras' teachings and the Essene teachings. So yeah, go ahead, you can have it.
So in other words, like a lot of these people will keep these teachings from you and string you along to have your time, your talents, to have your, you know what I mean, your all your attention. These people are after attention and all types of other things. They'll string you along. They'll tell you that only God gave them these certain rituals and understandings and stuff like that. Look into this stuff. All you have to do is reverse engineer what they're saying to you, and you'll come to the truth like we're coming to here, where a lot of this stuff all came from. We will return to the sexual. Let's move on. Thanks, Chris, for going over that with us. We will return to the sexual mystery associated in Jerusalem Temple. When we examine the development of Gothic masonry, however, it will be useful now to examine the nature of the craft mystery of the working Masonic guilds during the reconstruction of the Second Temple. Though Herod utilized the Jewish builders of Palestine, he relied especially on the Jewish artisan guilds of Alexandria, which were known for their skills. These Jewish masons, carpenters, and sculptors were also members of the General Union and craftsmen of Alexandria. And they often collaborated with other pagan counterparts in various building enterprises. The Jews were officially forbidden to participate in the pagan mystery rites, but they were certainly aware of the elaborate and moving spectacles. For both pagan and Jewish stonemasons, and most relevant rites were those of Neo-Pythagorean fraternities, which played an important role in the intellectual and spiritual climate of Alexandria and Jerusalem. Given the central role of geometry and the planning and mechanics of the Mason's craft, it seems certain that Jewish Masonic guilds include Pythagorean geometry in their studies. Lieberman argues that Pythagorean symbolism had an important influence on the whole temple cult. Now, this stuff here predates Freemasonry. As you can see, there's nothing new under the sun. This is another thing. I think Chris already went over this. I just missed the page of the slide. He dealt with a lot of different mathematical things. This is something from the Thelmic Encyclopedia, Encyclopedia for Thelma, which is like a ritual magic fraternity. Ritual signs are positions assumed.
I'm not saying nothing, y'all, because I forgot half this shit I put on here. I think I only watched this shit maybe twice since I made it over a year ago.
By the body, whether physical or astral. Their use is common in Thelmic ritual magic. The following sets of signs were assigned by Aleister Crowley to the various grades of his order, the AA. The first sets, neophyte, elemental grade signs, and LVX signs, were derived from the grade signs of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Such signs often have multiple uses and meanings, depending on the context. There is a member of the past group I was associated with. He was very in depth with this. Actually, he was part of the things I showed you earlier with the cubic stone. And here we have some of their symbolism. Look at this shield there. Look at the design of that shield here. It looks pretty familiar. I know all of you brothers here, you have that cross. This is a symbol of our Cyrus slain, the cross. Shows the arms out. It's the symbolism here of Osiris risen. Now, it says Osiris risen, the pentagram, attitude of resurrection. See it upright, arms crossed over the chest, right over left, so the open hands rest on the shoulders. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that the who's that Tutankhamun's tomb? Or I don't know if all pharaohs had the same like design when they have the hook and flail and their arms crossed.
Oh yeah, that's that sign they was using in the Black Panther movie when they would high five each other. Wakanda forever.
As we go on, speaking of Osirism and resurrection, and we can see here, you see that word pentagram that's associated with Osiris and resurrection, right? Remember that little shield right there. Just in case you're wondering, here in the English translation of the end of Mark from the Codex Sinaiticus, as you can see, the resurrection is there. There's a rumor going on that saying that the Codex Sinaiticus doesn't have the resurrection. The part that you're talking about was taken.
Judas said there was no resurrection. No mention of it. Right? But it is. It's blatant lie. I got the book and all that shit. Well, I got them too, Judas. It's a lie.
Taken out. But once again, people don't look up these things. This person told me this when I first joined the group. I looked it up. I figured it out in like 5 minutes. But you let people have their fun. But when the Sabbath, let's read it here. And when the Sabbath, Mark 16:1, and when the Sabbath had passed, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Solomon brought spices, and that they might come and anoint him. This is Jesus, Yahushua. And very early on the first of the week, they came to the sepulchre, the sun having risen. And you know who wrote this thing? Mark was a Nazarene. And they say among themselves, who shall roll away for us the stone from the door of the sepulchre? And looking up, they see that the stone had been rolled away, for it was very great. And they entered the sepulchre and saw a young man sitting at the right side, clothed in a white robe. The Nazarenes were known for wearing red, and they were amazed. But he says to them, be not amazed. You see Jesus the Nazarene, who was crucified. You seek Jesus the Nazarene, who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they lay him? But go, tell the disciples, especially Peter, that he goes before you in Galilee. There you shall see him. And he said to you, and going out, they fled from the sepulchre, for trembling and astonishment had seized them. And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. As we can see here, see that shield I was showing you before. And we see this hand symbol right here. Now, we saw this hand symbol out of the OTO Encyclopedia, or the goddess of Uramoth. The thumbs, the index fingers place the hands together in the torso, making a triangle pointing down. This is also synonymous with this. That Jesus symbol, that feminine quality. Apart from the cross, the most habitual symbol of Christianity in this, the ichthys, known to us as the Jesus fish. One of the names given to pre-Jesus Jesus fish is the Vesica Pisces, vessel of the fish. And it was used as a symbol of every female fertility god ever. From Artemis, the Syrian fertility goddess, Aphrodite, Venus, the goddess of love and sex, to the pagan great mother goddess, where it symbolized.
And y'all all see that picture of Nazareth standing, making that same symbol.
Is her life-giving vulva. Now, we can also see too another symbol that was associated with Jesus, and it has the same qualities as this, representing Venus. Let's move on. Here we have that symbol here also. This is an OTO member, I believe, too. Sign of practice. And we see here Haile Selassie also making that same symbol here. This is an artifact. There's a lot of people saying that this is a hoax. It's not real. This was actually dated before the AD times. A lot of people say it's a hoax. There's only one church that it's a new cult type church that holds on to this thing. Actually, that place where they said it was the first.
Yeah, I did some more research on that afterwards, and it comes out that it's like a hoax. It's only one church that has basically found this thing, and they say it's a real artifact, and that was the first church. That was the Church of James, and all this crazy stuff, right? So, it's a hoax. But that's the only thing Hebrew Israelites really got to hang on to it. It's like pseudo fake artifacts and shit.
Church that James, the brother of Jesus, Yahushua ran, the first church of Jerusalem, this symbol they said they found in there, which is, there you go, this is Pisces, the fish, making the feminine with the masculine on top, and with the menorah here. Menorah pictures. There is many connections between the pentagram and Christianity. Before the cross, listen, all you Christians, you Messianic Israelites, before the cross, it was a preferred emblem to adorn jewelry and amulets in early Christians, followed by the X or the Phoenix. The pentagram was associated with the 5 wounds of Christ, just because it could be drawn in one continuous movement with the pen. If anybody that knows about when they do witchcraft and stuff, they have to do a ritual that calls like a banishing ritual, and I forgot the other name of the ritual. But basically, what it is, you point to the 4 corners of the earth, and you draw the pentagram with your wand. As you saw at the top of the thing where I showed those tools for witchcraft, the wand, you would draw that symbol. And what it would do, it would banish whatever spirits that they are before you close out your ritual. So after you're done with your ritual, you would do the banishing ritual, where you would make that sign with the pentagram in the 4 corners. And that supposedly, I guess, put the whatever spirit you're dealing with back where they was and stuff like that. And it allows you to step outside of that pentagram, out of that hexagram with the circle. You do this within the hexagram. There's actually a ritual within the hexagram and a ritual within the pentagram with a circle. There's pentagram association with the 5 wounds of Christ. It could be drawn in one continuous moment with the pen. The alpha and the omega as one. A point down pinnacle is nothing new. No.
All righty, I'm back. I'm sorry about that.
Constantine, the Roman emperor who converted to Christianity, chose to use the pentagram on his seal and amulet. Until medieval times, the 5 points of the pentagram represented the 5 wounds of Christ on the cross. During these times, the pentagram carried no evil implications at all. And in fact, in a lesser way than the cross was symbolic of the Savior. Up until medieval times, the 5 points of the pentagram represented the 5 wounds of Christ on the cross. It was a symbol of Christ, the Savior. This is a stark contrast to today that the pentagram is criticized by modern fundamentalist Christians as being a symbol of evil. The church eventually chose the cross as a more significant symbol for Christianity, and the use of the pentagram as a Christian symbol gradually ceased. The pentagram was actually the first symbol used for Christianity. Go figure.
You hear that?
Picture, First Presbyterian Church.
Look, the pentagram was the first symbol used for Christianity. And who was they all were paying attention? Who started Christianity? Nazarene.
Apache, Texas. Still on the building. You see there, pentagram. Perhaps most curious is the pentagram as it relates to early Christianity. Constantine, the Roman emperor, converted to I already read this. This is but no, it's not. It's different. Choose the pentagram on his seal and amulet. No, I didn't went over it. Okay. Yeah, I already read that. Okay, here is a picture of the ruins of the synagogue of Capernaum. This is Capernaum. This is the ruins of that synagogue. And as you can see here, This is a interlocking pentagram that you see like on the Moorish flag, right there, bomb. The early Catholic bishop and church historian Epiphanes of Salamis, 320 to 403 AD, who is best known for putting together a compilation of heresies from the days of the early Christianity up into his own time. Epiphanes described these heretics, the Nazarene Essenes, as Jews by nationality, originally from Galilee, Bashantis, and the Transjordan. They acknowledged Moses and believed that he had received laws. Not this law, however, but some other. And so they were Jews who kept all the Jewish observances, but they would not offer sacrifice or eat meat. They considered it unlawful to eat meat or make sacrifice with it. They claimed that these books are fictions. They believed that the Torah, some of the books of the Torah were fictions, and that none of these customs were instituted by the fathers. This was the difference between the Nazarenes and the others. According to the modern scholar Peter Gorman, in his book Pythagoras, enlightened faithful were divided into two ranks: disciples who lived in a commune, sharing all possessions, in larger groups called acousmatics, whose dedication was less consuming. The disciples lived faithfully in step like their guru. Like Pythagoras, they ate lightly, taking neither meat or fish. They slept sparingly, drank no alcohol, insisted on monogamy. Sounds like a cult. For this group, not one named themselves after Christ or with Jesus' own name, but Nazarene. All Christians were called Nazarenes once, before the disciples began to be called Christians at Antioch. They were so-called followers of the apostles. They dedicated themselves to the law.
Right now. See the two that's up in here watching? Y'all getting the jewels right now. Shit.
For everyone called the Christians Nazarenes, as I said before. Tertullius prosecutes Paul, but in order not to burden you any further, I beg your indulgence to hear us briefly. We have found this man to be a nuisance, stirring up dissension among the Jews all over the world. He is the ringleader of the Nazarenes. That's Paul, called the ringleader of the Nazarenes. And he even tried to desecrate the temple, so we seized him. Let's move on. It is believed that early Christians were responsible for naming the Shoshan the Madonna lily, which doesn't take much imagination to understand why. The lyrics of the old hymn goes, "He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star." Here we have this is Jesus in the pentagram representing the 5 wounds of Christ. You see the points on the body here. Pagan cults ascribed the pentagram. Medieval Christians did. Constantine did, like we read before. Many others. The endless knot, it was called. During long periods of Inquisition, the pentagram was seen to symbolize a goat head. In the purge of witches, the horned god Pan became equated with the devil, a Christian concept in the pentagram. For the first time in history, became the symbol of evil and was called the witch's float. As Jesus moved about in Judea and Galilee, he crossed now with the path of a particular order of men, whose white garments, kindly faces, and earnest mien would attract attention whenever seen. While among men, there were not of them. They were monks before the time of monotheism, devoted to the life of purity, poverty, and service. Remember, they donated all their stuff to the community. They were like what do you call them? Like the Russian communists. These were the scenes, that strange expression of religious life in Judaism. having its headquarters in the western shore of the Dead Sea. Let's move on. We'll try to speed this up a little bit for you guys. By no interpretation of the law could the seas derive from it the injunction to worship the sun. The seas were also known as the seas were also known as sun gazers. They used to gaze at the sun. To abstain from bloody sacrifices such as were daily offered in the temple, and to eschew marriage, and to hold themselves aloof from the life and interests of the nation. This is more on that cubic stone oracle. It got to do with the Talmud and stuff like that. I'm gonna move over this one here. You guys should check that out. Talk about the Stoner Foundation and stuff. If you can see here, some of these guys here, they're using the Sephiroth. They're using the Tree of Life. They claim that they don't use Kabbalah. There you see it right there. As you can see here, we got bigger here. This is the Tree of Life. And as you know, there's different attributes and stuff in the Tree of Life. Like we're taught, like the people talk about the Temple Man. As you can see here, these things represent the same thing that this person has taught about the Temple Man, even with the attributes of the different places and stuff within the temple. You can lay the temple right on top of this, and it represents the same thing. You'll start at Makuf, was the root, was like the sacrificial altar, and you work your way up into the temple and stuff, into the Holy of Holies there. Smooth. These are attributes within the points, as we've seen that, with different points and stuff in the cube and stuff having different attributes. Here we go again. Same thing, the altar, the porch, you move it up to the top. Here you have it again. The same thing it has the shield laid on top of it. So you know what you're dealing with that circle. So the heaven is celestial, subjective, in the real world of light. And where are you going to here? To that eye, that sacred closed eye. It's the thing here on manna. Kind of skip over this. This is kind of a little off from what we're talking about here. The something of Pythagoras. The Greek mathematician and philosopher Pythagoras, 5 was the number for man. Because of the fivefold divisions of the body, the ancient Greek division of the soul, according to Pythagoras, the 5 points of the pentagram each represent one of the 5 elements: fire, air, the water, and the psyche. Let's move on. He goes on again talking about how it also meant the 5 wounds of cross of Christ, and possibly due to connection between the early Christians, the Pythagorean mysteries. Later, the pinnacle was important in many doctrines of esoteric, medieval, and Renaissance belief systems: alchemy, Kabbalah, and ceremonial magic. During the times of Hebrew scriptures, the pinnacle was the first and most important of the 7 seals. The amulet, whose seals represent the 7 sacred names of God, it was ascribed to the king of Solomon, which often called Solomon's seal an error. Each point of the pentagram was also interpreted as referring to the 5 books of Pentateuch. The first 5 books of the Hebrew scripture. The Torah of the Hebrews, the 5 points of the pentagram were tied to the Pentateuch. Skip over this one. The Essene orders differed on marriage and children. Check this out. They generally were celibates, but they were exceptions. Josephus says that they adopted children for instruction, but Philo says that they were to be no children because they would be a hindrance. Because how the New Testament also say, like, what was it? The scripture, it says that woe to him who's with child and that time of trouble. I'm just paraphrasing how that scripture went. With regard to marriage, Philo affirms that the Essenes banned marriage because women were selfish, jealous, deceitful, seducing, and leading the sovereign mind into bondage. to her in the care of children. You see that a lot of these Hebrew Israelite camps have that same mentality. One of the sisters and stuff that we're friends with sent a Facebook link where a brother misused the scripture to oppress his wife.
Right? Now you hear what they said, right? That they're supposed to be without wife. And I just said earlier how the scriptures say the 144,000 that God's supposed to take are virgins. Let's go. Y'all be here.
But Josephus says that marriage was important for the continuation of the race. Therefore, there were seeds that married and had sexual intercourse only for the purpose of procreation. Josephus is probably correct because he lived with his seeds for 3 years. Philo seems to be turning the information towards Greek philosophy. Here's a chart here where we see the differences between the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the Essenes. As you see here, the authority for the Essenes was the teacher of righteousness. They had no social class. Inspired exegesis, however you say that, and practices. Their calendar was solar, while the Pharisees were lunar and solar. The attitude toward Hellenism, the Essenes wasn't dealing with it. They were against it. The other ones were selective and for it. Said the Hashmoneans personally opposed to Jonathan. Free will, they used no free will in the Essenes, where the Sadducees mostly, and they did have free will. Afterlife, spiritual survival for the Essenes. Resurrection, Pharisees, none for the Sadducees. Inspired exegesis for the Bible and the oral Torah. So they also believed in the oral Torah, like the Talmud. What the other ones didn't, and they said, and the Pharisees believed that it was equal to the written Torah. Let's move on. Skip over that one. Oh, this there. Oh, right on. That's it. That's it. So, yeah, that's about it. Chris, you still there?
No, I fell asleep listening to the whole.
Yeah, sorry it took so long and stuff, but I had less time.
It was a good lesson. It was a good lesson. I appreciate it. You kept your promise too. So I appreciate that one also. So
I had some and stuff.
No, man, that's cool. You know what? I did like the fact that you showed where they saw children as being a hindrance. And it says, woe to them who have children in that day. You see what I'm saying? I'd be telling people these people were Essenes. And, one of the things I noticed is Christian not going to listen. They suffer from what I call repressed slave syndrome. You know what I'm saying? So they were told to be slaves and read the Bible when we got off them boats. You know what I'm saying? So it's just another fight that we're dealing with right now. So yeah, exactly. So you know what?
I don't want to keep the language right out here and stuff, but we know what these other people say, the terms and stuff that they make for people and stuff that don't want to don't want to submit to their bidding and their commands and stuff. We know how that gets. So they were doing the same thing. They were doing the same thing to people, following all that craziness. Yeah, just basically everybody, study your leaders, especially. It can save you a lot of time, a lot of aggravation, a lot of money. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's about it. Just be careful what's going on out there. There's a lot of crazy stuff. Some of these people worshiping Satan right in your face. If you want to look at it like that, I'm not really making any claims to anything. It's all open for your interpretation. Also for this presentation, a lot of you Christians and Messianic Hebrew Israelites and stuff, you guys got some daggers and stuff to go against these OP people. You know what I mean? So these people that claim Nazarene and stuff, hey, they were Christians. They believed in Jesus. As you see that Koi Sinaiticus, resurrection is in there. Said he's risen. So, you know, I just gave you something so y'all don't have to, because y'all already getting beat up with that Isaiah 53. And Chris ain't letting y'all breathe on that Daniel 9. So, you know what I mean? That's something else. But I believe you can hold that one, though. If you grab this and stuff, I believe it's all right for you to hold on to that. I don't think nobody's going to beat up on you about that. I don't think nobody's going to beat up on you on that. So,
well, I guess in closing,
yeah, like I told his other brother, Shalom, peace to him. The last presentation I made like a few years ago, I said, hey, what you gonna do now? You know what I mean? There's some decisions some brothers gotta make. You know what I mean? Once you get the information, and I'm not saying take all of this stuff, that from what I'm saying, research it yourself. And you know, ask questions. There's nothing wrong, there's no such thing as a stupid question. So absolutely understand. If they don't want to answer you, they want to beat around the bush and stuff, keep it moving. Keep it moving. It's only going to get worse.
That's very true. That's very true. And like I said,
everybody. But thanks a lot for having me on, Chris. I appreciate it. I hope to come back with some more information, maybe with some less slides on some other subjects, because there's a lot of stuff out here I want to get in depth with, but I'll save it for another presentation.
Okay, well, with that being said, we're going to close out. Hope y'all enjoyed the lesson. Peace.
Hey.
Sorry, there you have it. Got another one down. This is good watching this again. Like, I learned there's a lot of stuff in here I had forgot. And, some of the stuff I didn't even realize I said. So I was glad to have Jakey Springfield on today to go through it. I wish he was on later, or I could have started farther into the video. Most of the stuff I wanted to get Nagy's opinion on came after he left. So shout out to Nagy Springfield, shout out to Chris Harris for letting me do that video and pushing me to do the video, right? And yeah, that's about it. Shit, man, it's tired as motherfucker. Thank you, Sister P, for holding on the chat. I don't know if he's still with me or asleep. But shout out to all the co-moderators, Willie Grist, Nicole Jessica, and is there another one? Oh yeah, and Siberius and Chris Harris. So yeah, shout out to y'all, and shout out to everybody that tuned in. Malak, Sister P, Nick Springfield. Oh yeah, and Pink House, I don't know how you pronounce it. But yeah, shout out to him. Maybe next time you can talk a little bit more and stuff. I know we just kind of jumped into it. And I'm like, you be busy with the video and stuff, like stuff shared out. But yeah, you're more than welcome to come on any other time. Shout out to all the people from last night's show. Rudy, Jarrell. I think Rudy and Jarrell might be the same person. But anyway, shout out to them. Shout out to Siberius and stuff. And Maggie, all the people that tuned in last night, Josh and stuff. So, yeah, with that, I'm up out of here. We're going to go out with that new Josh track, Wormwood. And let's say peace. Let's find the general.
Then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch.
No escaping. Popular vacation, overrunning bank statement, lacing on pavement. Say man, cataclysm around the corner. Woke up before performers, the time for the form. A rhyme technique formed and farm. A swarm of pyrotechnic arms. Flaming up the Dutch to crush, handed out and such. Till my metal mouth clutch. I'm too sephardic for retarded. Carry bags of harvest, brain be the largest. Illin', react finger twiddling like some villains. Foreign, with my haste day. Keep away all naysay. Nutty, that's payday. Yet rock of age like Pele. Even with these, ask Pompeii. Sling around you fools like Harambe. Wormhole through Bombay. Beyond where the top stay. Hey, Oxray. Hit harder than Parker Brothers with my other crushes. Names out board games, stutter, sound clearer. With more names, ferocious horse aim, cyclic ore from the war. Flow tame. Hey man, that's an English river. Squeamish to the liver. Phoenix to the river. Remix will deliver. Active action doses. The way hope poses. Ultimate posterizing motives when I mic the right voters. Like the right omens. In fake star moments, no opponents. They poison in the stomach like some rodents. Poise the fly, oceans, brother. And rock weekends like Usher. Remove clutter. The Trump borders. And sending professionals on borders. On orders to bring back your freedom. Y'all too busy, missing like Liam Neeson. Vanished without a trace to outer inner space. Fountain spouter when erased. To face the camp like Jace. Who worship Vishnu. Yo, rock cloak, robe, purple tube, window. Heard a fool for cool points. Sorry that's annoying. I'm still reaching out to Christ for the joint. Over the pig who points. Hey. Take your time, fuck that shit. Yeah, fuck those fools who use the food to waste lives of innocent. Have them repent and bow low. How about those? Taste sediment like 8 rows, hate clothes. I'm rocking with fervor. Time to take the burden from moving first. The sons was Herschel. Better take back they hurdles. Find myself, rolls up like turtles. Fold step off like girls. Gear cats found, rip off gerbils. Dice disperses from winning purses. Thirsters, one of language, using human language as a bridge to Cambridge. Then invent new payment like Vatican strangers. Into the door, strangers spoof. Evacuate time, cry out, dormant move. Or man shoot, syndicate late night, Fu Manchu. Alright?
It fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the water because it was made bitter.
All right, y'all. Peace.